Today on the workbench, I've got a new project here. This is an Athearn Genesis 282, which you can see that I have disassembled. Someone sent this to me, and it needed the red wire repaired. This is a track pickup wire. Well, I took it all apart. I wish I'd have started this from the beginning, because this was just supposed to be fix the red wire and add a decoder. Now this decoder right here, this is just a test decoder. This is not what I'm leaving in this. But I got the red wire fixed. I also had to fix the other side. Basically just soldered a new eyelet, brass eyelet on there. But put it all together to test it with this decoder, and it had that, it would run, but it had a lope to it. It wouldn't go in reverse, but it would go forward, but it had that lope. So I knew right then, well, it's got a busted gear in it. So I took it apart, all apart, and these things are a heck of a thing to get apart. So I didn't pull that all off, but I didn't have to. But turns out, and I hope you can see this, this is the idler gear out of this gearbox. And I'll get as close as I can, but you can see a tooth missing right there out of this idler gear. So that's the culprit. I even got the, here's the tooth. It was in the gearbox. So luckily I could get that out. So looked it up. Luckily, Northwest Shortline, they sell a replacement for this. This is the number for it. 2181-6. It's a 17-tooth gear. This is the idler gear for this locomotive, but you can see all the numbers there for it. Now let me open this bag up so you're not looking at glare. I don't want to lose that gear. But there's what we're putting in this thing. So, and this will work in the 462 locomotive also. But anyway, there's the part number and the gear from Northwest Shortline. So I got that in today. Now, here's the replacement. This one has a metal pin through it. So should be fairly quick to get in. I say that, it'll take me an hour to do it now. But yeah, that'll get that gear replaced. And then we can get this thing back together so that I can install the decoder in it. I ordered a TCS WOW Steam decoder, I believe, for it, and a scale sound system speaker. But we'll get to that once I get all this back together. So I don't know how well this will come through on the camera. We'll try and get this gear back in. And this thing is just basically centered up. So this is the way I took the other one out. So hopefully it will snap right back in the same way. There we go. That took care of that problem. That fits nicely. So, yep. There's enough lube on that gear in there to keep that thing moving. All right, so now we'll go ahead and we'll put this thing back together. And like I say, this took a while to get apart. So luckily, you came in at the right time here. We can put this back together. But these two screws for the track pickups, they basically, if I can get this wire back underneath, that sits in there like that. These two screws that hold the track pickups on also hold the back of this body together. Oop, that missed. So now when I fixed this wire the first time, it went right in. But now I can't seem to hit what I'm aiming for. There we go. Now hopefully that other one's lined up. Keep all them wires on the inside. But yeah, I should have filmed the repair. I didn't figure that would be anything that I needed to film. But turns out now that one won't start. There we go. Get a different screwdriver, a little bigger one. So I'm going to put this up on the test track right now, because if you've done any of these Athearn locomotives, that's really all you have to do is just, it's a 9-pin plug, is just plug the decoder in. So I can test this out right now. So I'll be back here in a second. Okay, we got it back together and this thing runs smooth. I mean, it is absolutely amazing how well this thing runs now. So I think this gear was like 13 bucks. Of course, then you pay, I think, $9 shipping for it. Whatever, it was $22, $23, $24, whatever. But to get this locomotive to run, it was necessary. And like I say, it runs superb. So now I've just got to finish putting this back together, and I'll go ahead and do that. So I'll put that, actually let me put this gear in this little bag, and I'll send that back to the people that I'm doing this for, and the part of the tooth. Put that in the bag. So we've got that we can send to them. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this bottom cover on, and it takes all these fine little screws I don't know if I can get that separated out. For some reason I can't pick that up with my magnetic screwdriver. But we can get all these small screws back in. So I really wouldn't have had to take this plate off to fix that gear, but at the time I did not know what was wrong, so basically I had it as far apart as I could. So there's that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 2 more. But yeah, I was really hoping that I wouldn't have to do anything else to this locomotive. But things happen. Customer's happy. Going to be happier now that this runs very, very well. We'll get all of it back together. And put the brake assembly on it. That just, oop. Oh, I had it right. Just didn't seem right. Okay, so that sits in there. So the back of these, there's a little nub right in there that sits on. Do that. And that's already on there. So we've got that. Okay. We're good to go there. Now I need to, I believe, this long screw, yep, goes in here. That'll hold that boiler down, or on. So we've got that. And I can put this front pilot truck back on with the spring. And that just kind of sticks on there. So I may have to, oh, that's the, never mind, that's not what I need. Washer. And then the screw. And I think I have that wrong. I'll look on the instructions here, not the instructions, but the parts manual. The breakdown. sometimes, because I had to let this thing sit for a week, almost week and a half, to get that part. And it doesn't show the spring. Of course it doesn't. Yeah, it does. Okay. Yeah. That's right. Yep. That is correct. So everything is back together there now. I am going to run it one more time before I get it back completely together, because we still got to put the boiler on. But I do want to run it one more time. So it still runs. I did end up, I had another screw that went right here. So there's 4 screws to pull this boiler off. You've got this one right here in the front on the driver's side, this one on the fireman's side, then there's one back here that hold the track pickups for the fireman's side, and then one for the driver's, or the locomotive engineer's side. So anyway, we've got that all back together. Now we can go ahead and try to finagle this thing back in here, and if I remember right, so this, I should have left this assembly off. So I forgot that long screw, when it goes up through the boiler, it goes through this hole. So I need to pull this out. So in a way, you're kind of getting to see the disassembly of this thing to pull the boiler off. Anyway, that's that. Now, I'm going to try to shove this thing back on here. Oop. Make sure all the wires are tucked in. Because this thing is a pain to put on. And there's no good way that I see to do it. I'm sure that there's somebody out there that knows better than I how this thing goes together. But you start it in like that. So I'm going to finish this off camera because it's going to take me a while. Of course, I say that and I'll have it done in a minute. So just like I said, it took me about 30 seconds after I turned the camera off to get this thing back in there. There's 2 clips right here underneath this pipe. There's one clip here on this side, one clip here in underneath this piping that I hope you can see. But you squeeze them in and then you can pull that up and shove it forward. So we've got that back together. Now I can turn it over again and put this long screw back in. That'll hold all of this together. Get in there. Of course, if I had a bigger screwdriver there, it'd be helpful. So there's that. We got that. And these things are pretty sturdy, so. Okay. Now I can put that spring back in there like that. I'm going to try something here a minute. Yeah. Okay. So that spring goes right like that. That all goes there. This is one of the easier locomotives, steam locomotives, to disassemble. All right. There's that. I didn't have to take the rear pilot off. So we're good. Now we can put the boiler front back on, and it's just got these two little plugs that I unplugged, and they are marked. There's a white line on this side that we can put back in. Yep. Well, if I can there's that side. They left almost enough room to get that finagled in. But there's that. There's the front of the locomotive put back together. We got a few piping details here to sit back in the holes. Yeah. There's our locomotive. Now I've got the cab, and it's got two little clips there that sit down into these two little slots. So we'll say slot A or tab A and the slot B. And there's our cab back on. So there's the locomotive back together. Now this is normally the part where I come in and say, today on the workbench, we've got a 282 that we're going to put a decoder in. And here we are. We've got a 282 we're going to put a decoder in. So the way this tender comes apart, everything goes in the tender. It's just, you pry the sides apart. Now this already had holes drilled in it, so I can put the decoder right back in here and then just slap this in. So this is the decoder that I got for this. This is a 1517 TCS WOW Steam, or WOW101KA-Steam. So what that means is that this decoder comes, and I should have cut that open, but I didn't, so hang on a second. This decoder comes with a Keep Alive, and it's a KA3 Keep Alive, but it has a 9-pin plug. Pull that out, and this decoder that I have on here, I'll just unplug it. It's one of my test samples. So basically what you can do is all this stuff will slide through that opening. So this locomotive will be basically permanently coupled together. Well, I don't want to say permanently coupled together, because you can pull it out. So we can just put this in here. So I will not fasten the decoder down. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. So there's our new decoder. Now I am going to, so I don't know if somebody tried to put a decoder in this or what, but they've got double-sided tape. So here is the KA3 Keep Alive. It's got its own wiring harness that plugs into the back, and our two, let's see, the two purple wires, I believe, and I'll make sure before I hook it up, but those are for the speaker. So these three wires I do not need. Do not need those. If there was a spot for a rear light in this thing, I would put a rear light in it. But there's not, so I won't. Let's see. So on the wiring instructions, it says speaker A, speaker B, keep alive. That's the two center connections, the black and the light blue. And then the tan, the pink, and the brown are extra functions. Well, the tan is for a cam. The brown and the pink are for extra functions, such as lights, whatever. But anyway, the two purple wires, the whole point of this is the two purple wires are for the speaker. Even though they don't say they're purple, that's what they are. So the Keep Alive, I'll fasten it down, but I have a couple of choices here for speakers. I'm going to put one scale sound system speaker in it. This is a 12 by 25, so it's 12 millimeters deep and 25 by 25 square. Or I've got a 15 by 25 that I can put in here. And I think how do I want to do that? I think I'll only have room for the 12 by 25, and I'm going to fasten it to the back of the tender. That way I'll have plenty of room. Yeah. That should sit right down like that. Actually, I could put it about right there. I'm thinking we'd be all right. Let me close this thing up. Yeah, plenty of room. So now you can see how this comes apart. I've put it together. I've taken actually, you can just take something right there in the front where the decoder will slide through. Just like that. And pry down on it, and there you go. So, anyway. Yeah, let me get this narrow speaker in here, and then we'll go from there. Get that out, turn my soldering iron on. I've got to clean where I'm going to put my tape. Actually, I'll mount that right there. I can't put it up here. Nope. I can't put it up here because, and this is the 12 by 25. I can't put it up here because the decoder has to slide in. So I'll put it right here. Let me clean that off. That way it'll fire up through them holes. So get my alcohol out of the way. Get out some double-sided tape here. And I'll put a piece of double-sided tape on each side of that speaker. And this will go back in the box with it connected together. And I always have trouble at this point there's one. Got my tape stuck to my arm. Sometimes that stuff just does not want to come off. And I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it is awfully windy here. Yeah, windy. Anyway, now I am going to mount this decoder right here, right beside that, right in front of that speaker. Actually, I think I'm going to mount it to the inside of the shell. That way I have more room. Of course, it really doesn't matter. Okay, now let's put it down here. All right. Plan B for the third time. We'll clean that up. Get out my tape again, and I still have to solder the wires to that. But going to take and trim some of that heat shrink off. Sticking out just a little too far. I'll let that slide back in just a touch farther. So here we go again with the heat shrink, or the double-sided tape, and okay, there's that. Now, like I say, I'm going to pull these three wires, this purple, or pink, brown, and tan. They are unnecessary in this installation, so we can pull them out of that harness. And I'm going to leave all of this wire on here so we'll have plenty to remove this decoder if we need. Okay, so there's those. Now I'm going to get the flux and we'll tin these up. There it is. Okay. Clean that tip off. And we'll go ahead and tin my pads. Okay. Okay, so that is everything that needs soldered. Just got to remember to run it through that hole. And like I say, I am going to leave that decoder loose, because this shell is really easy to get off. That'll give us plenty of room to plug this in. And I mean, that's all there is to it. So we plug that in, and then shove all that back in there. Well, Hang on a second. What am I hitting on there? Shouldn't be hitting on anything. So let's put it together this way. Sometimes that's the problem with leaving a lot of wire, but rather to leave it just in case the need arises. Pull that in, pull that in. There we go. So there. Oh, let me zoom out a little bit. We're all together. Like I say, it will go into the box that way. So now we'll put it up on the test track and run it and see if we have to do anything extra. I'll be back. All right, we've got this project finished and up on the test stands. So we're going to go ahead and turn the sound on. Now the only lighting function that this has is, you just heard the dynamo kick on. The only lighting function it has is the front headlight. So I'm not really going to show that. But we'll go through, and this is all factory settings. I haven't changed anything. The person that this belongs to, they can do that. But there's the whistle. Of course, we got the bell. Then we got the short whistle. So let's go ahead, turn the bell off there. So there the bell went off. We'll go ahead and we'll get this going. We'll set the momentum to about half on this, and we'll So this does have a pretty good sound to it. I haven't adjusted the chuff. So anyway, yeah, this was a short and simple project. Let me go ahead and stop that. But yeah, this was a short project that kind of turned into something with the broken gear. Of course, we got that fixed with the northwest short line gear. Got that replaced. Yeah, other than that, this is a really easy project, and it is done. So, all right. Thanks for watching.